Hi there, Alex from Chaos Flow again. So now we're going to go through some of the basics of the Schrödinger staff setup. You know, getting yourself prepared, some things to be careful of before you start playing, and a little awareness of how the prop functions. So, like I said, you have this para-aramid cord, which is fire resistant. It's not fireproof, but fire resistant, and so far hasn't had any problems. Which is set up with a slip knot at the end, slip loop, which goes around the wrist, simply to keep that attached. That's to make sure that obviously when you're doing the distant shots, the fast shots, that it's never going to accidentally slip off your wrist and go flying into some innocent bystander's face. I've had many nightmares about this, and it took me a while to get it to a stage at which I'm very comfortable. Now, in the beginning, most of this rope for a beginner, unless you're a rope dart player, most of this rope is going to get in the way. It's going to just tangle up and be a frustration. You also really want to avoid getting the rope on the floor because you don't want it picking up dirt and getting too dirty. I mean, you can really put off the time required to. I mean, I've had ropes for years now, and but I've seen other people who took less care, and sometimes it can only last 6 months before you have twigs and all sorts of things gathering in there. So do take care of your equipment, and you'll get the maximum lifespan that you really want out of something like this. So to get rid of the rope, to make sure that the rope's not all in the way, you want to basically do a half hitch. Now what that means is you just make a loop, okay, with the rope, and you see how the long end of the rope comes on the front side away from me, and then my hand comes in around the back and loops through, okay? And you see now, that's on, and that's called a half hitch. And you can just do several of those. So again, you make a loop with the long end on the other side of the loop, the loop-de-loop, and your hand comes from away from you, in front of you, and then it's on. That works both ways. This is just the way that I do it. I think if you can loop it so that the long end is on the front side, on your side of the loop, and bring your hand in forwards, you get the same result. Do whatever's comfortable. That I just find really works well for me. Now, as you can see, so now I've looped it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times here, and that has ended up being the perfect beginner length, okay, where you can hold it. Actually, no, just a little bit more. So you can hold the stick in your hand, you hold the rope in between your thumb and your finger here, like this, and then you have a little bit of slack, not too much, and you'll see that really helps because when you're playing, it keeps the cord. It means you haven't got loads of dangling cord that this thing gets tangled up in. Now, some things to be really careful of with the prop is naturally one of its main appeals is the shots, which is when you're doing distant shots, kicking it off, showing it off, shooting off with your elbow away when it's spinning. Now, it goes up to 3.5 meters away, depending on your height, but it's a decent distance. And the next natural physical step is obviously to recall it, and the only place it's going to recall to is directly at you, which means you have a spinning metal stick coming flying at you. Please be careful. Just have awareness and be aware that this is going to happen. Make sure that you pull it returning, away from your body, and just have some sense. I've seen some people pick this up and just go nuts, and it doesn't always end bruiseless, so to speak. So, other things to be careful is that your spatial awareness in general. This thing takes up a lot of physical space. I mean, you have a 3.5 meter. I have a 3.5 meter radius all around me, a semicircle worth of space I can consume, and often there's lots of other fire spinners and/or observers within that space. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on your full 360, and you're not just facing one direction and throwing off on your planes. Okay, you want to be able to make sure that you know if somebody's coming from behind you. So a good trick is to always be turning as you're playing. Keeping an eye out, not getting dizzy. Not spinning like a crazy motherfucker, but just keeping an eye on your area so that you're not shooting blindly behind you, which I have seen some people do. So other things to be careful of. Those are the two main points. Your spatial awareness is vital because you're taking up more space than any other prop. So please be careful with that. When it comes to storing the rope, you have two options in between plays. Now, when I am add a fire space, for example, and we want to do something. I've lost it. Okay, GoPro, stop recording.